Ed, let's talk some high school football here. Second week of the playoffs. Districts is going on. LL League fared very well in the first week.
They did.
We have some great matches. The only one in Section 1 to lose last week was because they were playing each other.
It was Manheim Township.
Yeah. That was the only one. And I like some of the matchups. First of all, what stands out from last week for you before we look ahead?
I covered the Catholic LS game. Sorry, I'm looking ahead to this week already. But Catholic played their best game of the year when they needed it most, which I thought was impressive. Trey Miller, the running back, career high 308 yards rushing.
Wow.
5 touchdowns. He's come on late in the season. Again when they need it most, and they beat a good LS team.
That seemed like Roman Clay type numbers from him.
Yeah, but he's not a Roman Clay type power back.
Okay.
He's a kid who hits to the outside, a lot of speed. Once he gets past the secondary, it's very difficult to catch him.
Is he the scat back type?
Kind of, but he does have some power. I mean, he will run up the middle at times.
Interesting. Okay. Well, they're playing their best ball right now. You said too.
They are.
They go against you. We'll jump into this a little bit. They play Cocalico now. That's another LL League matchup.
And that's a rematch of last year's quarterfinal, won by Catholic in Lancaster, 20-7.
Okay.
This year, different dynamic.
Yeah.
A lot of the same stars back for Cocalico. Not as many of the same stars. You mentioned Roman Clay, obviously graduated for Lancaster Catholic. So different look to Catholic, at least, going into this game. Should
be good. Anything else from week? I'm going to bring up week 1 of the playoffs again because of the game you said was going to be really good. An 8 versus 9 seed. Cedar Cliff playing Penn Manor. Sounds like it was a game we all should have been at. Cedar Cliff had a big lead, and Penn Manor comes firing back and gets a win. Not a big upset. There's an 8 versus 9 seed, but Penn Manor was the 9th seed, and they take out Cedar Cliff. They played a tough schedule this year.
Yeah, really big win for Penn Manor's program, I think, to beat a good team like Cedar Cliff. Coached by Jim Catafio, one of the top coaches in the state. And, like you said, the way they came back, up at Cedar Cliff, to come back and win that game, I think says a lot for Penn Manor's football team right now.
They've been playing very well. One of their only losses recently was against Wilson, who they get this week in the playoffs.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that matchup.
Rematch
it's 9 versus 1 seed here.
It's a rematch of week 9.
Okay.
Again, back in West Lawn. The Week 9 game won by Wilson, but they had to come back against Penn Manor. Penn Manor had a 14-0 lead. I guess the big news this week will be Matt Timochenko. The Wilson quarterback will be back. But, his stand-in didn't do a bad job.
Right.
But, of course, I was sure Matt, when he comes back, will be the starting quarterback again. But two teams know each other very well. I don't think this is a game that Doug Doms, the Wilson coach, was looking forward to. He told me last week he doesn't like to play LL teams in the playoffs. He doesn't like to play teams he's already beaten. So we'll see how this all works out.
What's the key for Penn Manor to get a win this time?
If they can get the lead, hold on. I don't think anybody's going to change what they do at this point in the season. You can't go against your own personality. So I think Penn Manor is going to use the Week 9 situation to their advantage. For Wilson, it's a matter of, can we get up again for another LL team that we've already beaten.
That's interesting. A couple other matchups involving LL teams. Hempfield, the 10 seeds, got Cumberland Valley, the 2nd seed. What do you like there? What are the keys?
I like Hempfield a lot. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I just like the way they've been playing. I think they're playing their best football.
Score a lot of points,
but last week, you're right, they do score a lot of points, but last week when they needed a defensive effort, they got it. They only scored 17 last week, but they only gave up 7. So they're getting it on both sides of the ball. They're a dangerous team. Cumberland Valley has the history, they have the tradition, but I think Hempfield can make a run in these playoffs.
You're thinking upset?
Yeah, okay. I definitely am.
Okay, we got one more local team to talk about here, and it's in Class 3A. Manheim Central, the 2 seed, playing Susquehanna Township, the 10 seed.
Yeah. And again, this is a rematch of last year's quarterfinal. Okay. Township ended Central season last year. I'm sure Mike Williams and the Barons remember that game. I think Central should be a prohibitive favorite in this game. Township is good. They have a good running game, but their run defense is very suspect, which makes them, the question is how are they going to stop Manheim's running game? That could be a big problem for them.
4 straight weeks, Manheim has had sort of lopsided wins. Again, their closest game was last week against Garden Spot. But yet, this, as you said, when these teams where they these revenge factors, earlier in the year they circled the calendar for Calico, and they really came out on fire. I'll be anxious to see how quickly Barons come out of the block in this game, because it seems like Mike Williams will use this as motivation. These are the team that beat you, not ended your season.
Right.
You think that didn't work in the weight room all summer long with these guys, these losses? I think this is going to be another lopsided Barons win here.
It could be, and I think the game last week against Garden Spot was a game that, you know, even though it was close, I think they wanted that kind of game. You know, after 3 weeks of blowouts, they wanted a game where they were going to be pushed.
Yeah.
But, you know, I talked with Mike going into that game, and he said, look, you know, we're looking for a competitive game. You know, we're not looking for another mercy rule game. You know, we want a game to toughen up our kids. It's playoff time. They need to get used to playing 4 quarters again. And, you know, Garden Spot gave them that.
Gave them that. Not much more, but they got that. And I think it's going to be very similar in this game as well.